everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and in this video what we're going to be doing is going over how to use like module exports. So right now I have a Go thing opened up, so I'm going to close that. But what we're going to do is we're going to create like a small little library, just an idea that just kind of popped in my head, and we'll show you how to do exports. So I already kind of created a little mini library earlier, and I mean this pretty much sums it up. I made a bunch of functions. And then I do module.exports, and that lets me export those functions, and I just export them in an object. And then I'm able to do like require back in my main file. But let's just do one from scratch. So let's create a new file. I'm going to call this superArray.js. And my idea here is to give you a function that will allow you to create a new array but add a few functions to it, so that way you can do more cool stuff. Because I mean, there was a couple things in Lodash that I thought were cool, like reject, okay, basically being the opposite of filter, and basically being able to generate a random element from the array. It's like, why isn't that just natively inside arrays? Those seem to be two very useful functions that would just be nice to have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function that'll return you an array that has these two functions baked inside of it. So let's first make the function. So we'll say const superArray. Okay, and that's going to equal, you're going to pass in an array. So I'm going to say R. Okay, and basically what it's going to do, it's going to add two functions to the array. So array.random is going to equal a function. Okay, that basically takes itself in as a parameter. Actually doesn't even need to. And basically what it does, it's going to return an element from the array. And the index is going to be a random number from the index. So that'd be, so how do we do that? We would take math.floor, and inside of there we would do a math.random to generate a random number and multiply that by the array, by the length of the array. So r.length. Cool. So there we go. We got one function added. Now the harder one's going to be creating reject. I actually haven't tried to actually make this, so we're gonna discover this together. Okay, so r dot, what would be other than reject? Okay, we'll do this, remove. Okay, and then basically the way this will work is this will take a callback. Yep, this will take a callback. Alright, remove. And essentially what it's going to do, it's going to iterate over the array. So for so we'll do a for loop for r and for array for I equals 0, I is less than the array's length, and each time is going to increment. So we're going to loop over the array, okay, and then each time we loop over the array, we're going to do an if statement. So, and actually before we even do that, we're going to make a variable called const new array, which equals a new array. Okay, const new array, because we're going to be pushing items into that array, because we're going to return a new array with things that you remove. So basically, you'll put a test, and instead of keeping the things that pass your test, like filter, it's going to remove the things that pass your test. Okay, so what we're going to do is for new array, then we're going to do a test if, okay, the callback function, if the callback function, and then we're going to pass in the value in the index. So we'll pass in r slash I, the value, and then we'll also pass in the index. Okay, because it's generally the standard format for these callbacks. So if callback r, I, and basically what this function will do, well, it calls the function. So if that function returns true, it won't do anything. But if it returns false, else, then it's going to do array or new array dot push. So we're going to push the value that failed the test, which meaning we want to keep it, into that array. So push ri, the value. Okay. So we're basically going to loop over the array. If the callback returns true, do nothing. If it does return false, then we're going to put the item into the new array. And then when everything is said and done, so wait, see here, let's see where we're at here. This parentheses, what does this belong to? It shouldn't belong to that. That should be here. So this parentheses is extra. Okay, we don't need this arrow here because it's an if statement. So if this is true, does nothing else, then push into the array. Good. So this should be the end of the for loop. So once the for loop is over, then we're going to return new array. Okay, and that's what that function does. Save. And actually what it will do, it's going to return that but with super, basically the function will call itself and create a super array of that, so that way it still has those functions. Okay, so it'll be recursive. Okay, awesome. Return super array with the new array, so that way the array has the two functions as well, remove and random. And then that's what that function does. Let's see here, and that ends this function. Okay, and then basically what this function should do afterwards is then return r, which returns the array. Although I don't even need to do that because technically it should already do it because it's by reference, so technically the original array is being edited this whole time. Okay, cool. So that function is done. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to export it. So I'm going to just do module.exports or export equals, and how did I do that in the other one? Exports, module.exports, and put a little object, and then we're going to put super array in there. Cool. And cool. So now that we can use that. So let's go import it. So now I can go into another JavaScript file where I want to bring in this library, and I can just be like const, and I'm just going to put SA for super array equals require string dot slash super array. Where did that file go? I created it. It is saved, but I don't see where it is. Over here in practice. String methods, utility go. Where is this? Development, practice. Did I put this in the wrong place? Oh, it's in view for some reason. Okay, let me take it out of there. Okay, cool. So now let's go back over here. Super array. And this is lowercase. Now first let's just test that I brought it in right. So we're going to console.log SA. Console.log SA to make sure that I actually brought it in and it all connected right. Okay, good. So there's the function superArray. Now let's actually create a superArray. So const myr equals sa dot superArray. Okay, and then we'll just stick an array. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Save. Okay, and then we'll try out each function. So console.log my array.random. Okay, and we'll do that a few times so we can see if it gets random elements from the array. Let's see. So let's save that and run that. See if that's all working. Undefined. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to happen. Okay, so let's go back to our library and see why that might be the case. Superarray. Okay, so let's think about this. We're passing in the array and we're returning the array. Return array math.floor math.random. That's the index. Math.floor math.random times the array length. So this should get a random integer between 0 and the length of the array. Let's run some tests. So let's test what do we get back from there. So let's console.log myr. Save. So yeah, so it works. It adds the two functions into the array. So this is true. That's what we expected. But the random function is not returning a random. So let's put some console logs in the random function. What am I looking for here? So what we're going to do is instead we're going to say const rand. First we'll do the random index as a variable. So we'll put this here, Control X. I want to console.log that so we can see that's happening. Random index. Okay. Then we're going to get a const random value. That's going to equal our random index. And then we're going to return random value. Okay, save. So you can see sort of where along the function this may be giving us some problem. Okay, so let's see here. Not a number. Undefined. Nope. Superarray. Let's think about this. Superarray, random index. So the first console log is supposed to console the log the index, which it is not. And then it's supposed to console log. Well, then yeah, we just return the value. So the next thing I want to test is if that's the case, math.random array.length. Oh, we know. No, that should be fine because we have the R variable in scope. So that should technically be accessible. R.random. but let's console log R just to be sure. Save. So let's see here. Okay, and let's console log r.length. See what we get when we do that. Save. Six. So we're getting the right length. Oh, oh my god. Why do I always do this? I make this mistake all the time. I forgot to invoke random. That's why. So let me get rid of all these console logs. Oh, that's always a painful mistake. I've made that mistake so many times. You think, see, there it goes. It generates a random number. So it works. Okay. Cool. So that's the first part. Now let's try this remove. So let's say I wanted to remove my r dot remove, and then I want to remove any kind of array above any value above, let's say 3. Okay, so we're going to do value index because it's how we designed it, and basically what it's going to return is whether the value is greater than 3. If value is greater than 3, that's true, which means we're going to remove it, and if it's not, we are not. And I want to console log, and it'll return the array result. So I want to console log that. And let's do that, save, let's run it, see if my thing works. And it works. See, now we have a new super array with only 1, 2, and 3. And you know, I can keep building upon and making more array methods, and then basically all you have to do is just run this super array constructor. And I can make this even better by doing this. I can just do super array and basically use deconstruction, so that way I don't have to do this SA in front of it. Just get rid of that like that. Save, and this code should still work. There we go. Neat. Okay, and now I create this function that gives me this sort of more robust array. Okay, I'll start thinking of other kind of cool array functions I may want to add to this array and just keep beefing up this super array. But what we've done is we've created a nice little utility library. I mean, this one I made with just like random numbers, stuff like that. And then we made the super array thing here, where I'm basically just beefing up the array by giving it more methods inside of it. But now I can bring this into any program I make by just using require. Why? Because I exported it using module.exports. And I just export any functions into this object. So if I had, like in here, where I had a whole bunch of objects or a bunch of functions that I want to export, I just plop them all in there. That's it. So hopefully you learned a few things, like one, how to create new array methods, how to create like a little mini library for yourself, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. So I'll see you guys later on. Have a great one. Enjoy.